Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Morocco. Exotic is the first word that comes to mind to describe Morocco. Ancient cities exude a mysterious ambiance, leaving you with a strong impression. Also, add in the mix excellent beach resorts, snow-capped mountains, cedar forests, orange groves, and the colourful Sahara Desert. It is a country influenced by Roman, Arab, Berber, and French civilizations, an area truly at the crossroads of civilizations. Morocco has gained international fame as a multicultural country and a go-to destination for discovery lovers, those fascinated by nature, history, the art of living, and Moroccan hospitality. A modern country with a wealth of contemporary bars, restaurants, and night spots, stepping inside the Medinas of Morocco transports the globetrotter to a different world. Encompassed by towering walls, Medinas are filled with narrow streets, tiny alleyways, marketplaces, and historical mosques. What is a Medina?
Tell us, Don.
A Medina is the old part of a town or city, found in many countries in North Africa, not just Morocco. It is typically walled and contains narrow streets, fountains, palaces, and mosques. Many Medinas are car-free as there is not enough space in the alleyways for cars to pass. The word Medina means city or town in modern-day Arabic. The purpose of each Medina was to keep out invading armies, which is the reason why each of the 4 imperial cities of Morocco has its own separate Medina. Each Medina has its own unique story to tell, where you can lose yourself in their history and their beauty. The Medina is the old core of a city in Morocco, usually from the Middle Ages. It is surrounded by a wall and you can only enter through the old city gates called Bab. The houses are pretty much all traditional style without windows and either whitewashed or painted in a colour specific to that city. For example, the Medina in Marrakesh is orange-red. In Chefchaouen, blue, and in Soure, they are white. There are seldom proper roads. Mostly it's more or less narrow streets that you share with motorbikes, donkeys, juice sellers, and of course, lots of people walking around. Just like in old European cities, the alleys don't follow any pattern, so it's very easy to get lost, which is a good thing. Sometimes it feels like walking through an elaborate maze. So immediately on any visit to Morocco, when in a Medina, you feel like you have journeyed back in time, truly.
The farmland plains are only a small part of Morocco. The center of the country is dominated by a long mountain chain, the Atlas. In the south, there is a desert, the Sahara, and all along the western coast is the Atlantic Ocean.
Morocco is nestled on the northwestern tip of Africa. Its climate, geography, and history are all more closely related to the Mediterranean than to the rest of Africa. And for this reason, globetrotters are often struck by the odd sensation of having not quite reached Africa when they are in Morocco. In the north, its fine beaches, lush highland valleys, and evocative old cities reinforce this impression. Yet, as one moves south and east into and over the starkly beautiful ranges of the Atlases, Morocco's Mediterranean character melts away like a mirage. The Sahara stretches out to the horizon and the forbidding Kasbah's stare. Tangiers and Casablanca, long associated with expatriates and French colonial charm, offer fascinating stops. However, they are ultimately much less appealing than the ancient imperial cities of the interior. Fes, and Marrakesh. In Fes and Marrakesh in particular, the labyrinthine streets and passages of the century-old Medinas offer endless possibilities for exploration. Islam is the official religion of Morocco, but it exists in perfect coexistence with the other religions. Freedom to practice other religions is guaranteed by the Moroccan constitution. Being at the crossroads of history, Morocco is, well, let me think, what's the word? Historic. Where is Morocco? Morocco sits at the northwest of the African continent, with coastlines on the Mediterranean as well as the Atlantic. In fact, Morocco, and in turn the African continent, is separated from mainland Europe by only 12 kilometres, 8 miles at the Strait of Gibraltar. From the Lanyard side of things, Morocco is bordered by Algiers and Mauritania to the southeast, and to the south, Western Sahara. Now, I'm relatively well travelled and I like maps, but I never knew there was a country called Western Sahara. Western Sahara, formerly the Spanish colony of Spanish Sahara, is a disputed territory claimed by both the Kingdom of Morocco and the Popular Front for the Liberation of the Zaguia El Hamra and Rio de Oro, which is an independence movement based in Algeria. The area of Western Sahara is listed by the United Nations as a non-decolonized territory and is thus included in the United Nations list of non-self-governing territories. Under international law, Western Sahara is not a legal part of Morocco, and it remains under the international laws of military occupation. Learn something new every day. 100 kilometres or 80 miles to the west of Morocco are the Canary Islands, which are part of Spain and the outermost regions of the European Union. Again, learn something new every day. Getting to Morocco. There is only one direct flight option from North America, and that is with Royal Air Maroc between New York's JFK Airport and Casablanca. This flight runs at least 3 times a week. Flight time direct from New York is plus or minus 7 hours and leaves in the evening from New York City, arriving next morning. Now, Morocco is about 5 hours ahead of North America, East Coast time, not allowing for any daylight savings. The most popular choice, however, is flying via Europe, as this not only gives you more flight options, but you can also add on a stopover en route or on return. From most gateways in Europe, Morocco is no more than 3 hours away, plus or minus. The most popular carriers are Air France, Qatar Airways, Lufthansa, Turkish Airlines, Norwegian, Air Europa and Air Canada. In addition to the main airport in Casablanca, CMN, Morocco has airports at Agadir, AGA, and Fez, FEZ, and Marrakesh, RAK. So flying via Europe also gives Globetrotters more options on start and finish points in Morocco, as well as stopover choices to and from. A popular arrival and departure point is Menara Airport in Marrakesh. Marrakesh Airport is popular due to its important tourism attractions such as the vibrant Medina, souks, food and art. Marrakesh is the main gateway to travel in time through the culture and traditions of Morocco. As always, GoAway recommends. GoAway recommends private guided services. And as such, having a pre-booked private transfer is a must in our expert opinion for Morocco. Not only do you get the airport assistance, but you have the peace of mind knowing your vehicle and driver and guide are there waiting. No stress. All 3, driver, guide and vehicle, have been vetted as well, so you can just relax and take in the manic sights and sounds of bustling Morocco as you enjoy your private transfer to your hotel. Arabic is considered the language of education, media and civil services in Morocco. However, Berber, an Afro-Asiatic language, is widely spoken despite not being nationally recognized. No visa for US or Canadian citizens is required to visit Morocco.
Excellent!
The local currency is Moroccan dirham, but credit cards are widely accepted, but for flexibility when bargaining in the Medinas and souks, having US dollars or euros on hand is highly recommended. When to go to Morocco. So you know where Morocco is, how to get there. The big question is now when to go. Morocco is home to 4 mountain ranges. The 3 main ranges run parallel to each other from the southwest to the northeast and are known as the Middle Atlas, the High Atlas and the Anti-Atlas. The 4th range is located to the north of the country and is known as the Rif Mountains. To the southeast of Morocco, the mountains give way to the Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert is the hottest desert in the world and is the third largest after, guess which ones? Antarctica and the Arctic. Yes, the polar regions are classified as deserts, with Antarctica being the largest desert in the world. Aha! The Moroccan desert is characterized by big rocky plains that run from the feet of the mountains almost to the Atlantic coast, south of Agadir. With the Sahara on your doorstep, you would automatically think that Morocco would be hot all the time, all over. Well, that's true to a point. The off-snow-capped Atlas Mountains cut the country in two, with the more temperate environments on the coast side, and naturally with the Sahara Desert on the inland side, this is where you get the true heat of Morocco. When it comes to weather, the best times to visit are Northern Hemisphere spring and fall when it's warm, dry and pleasant. Note, spring comes late by European standards, around April and May. The summer is scorching hot and the winter is cold, especially at night. There is very little rain in Morocco, and when it does rain, it is in the winter time. In the interior, the temperatures are more extreme. The further you go from the coast, the more extreme the summer and winter weather becomes. The high Atlas Mountains can be visited year-round, although it does get cold again in winter. Summer on the coast can be pleasant with long sunny days cooled by ocean breezes, but it is the busiest time for beach vacations, particularly for those traveling from Europe. So again, cold and heat in Morocco. Here are some average temperatures around the country. Other things of note for Morocco. If invited to a family meal, one must wash their hands first with an ewer. Meals begin only after the master of the house says Bismillah, in praise of God. It is proper to eat with the right hand and to try everything, even if a person does not finish. Visitors should avoid eating, drinking and smoking in public during Ramadan. Access to mosques and other holy places is forbidden to non-Muslims. The only exceptions are Hassin II Mosque in Casablanca, Muhammad V Mausoleum in Rabat, the Moulay Ismaili Mausoleum in Meknes, and the Moulay Ali Sharif Mausoleum in Risani. The cuisine of Morocco is characterized by Berber, Moorish and Arab influences, while using a large array of fruits and vegetables typical of Mediterranean coastlines. Dishes in Morocco tend to be more spiced than others in the Middle East, with popular flavors including cinnamon, cumin, turmeric, ginger, pepper, saffron and paprika. Common meats used in Morocco cooking are beef, mutton, lamb, chicken, camel, rabbit, and of course, seafood.
Shh, be very quiet. I'm hunting rabbit.
So as you can see, dining is a big aspect of a visit to Morocco. Shots. Do you need any shots for your visit? To answer that, let me bring in Dr. Don Goe Professor to answer that for you. Dr. Don Goe Professor, thank you. Thanks, Don. First things first, I am not a real doctor, despite these really cool scrubs. Now, as I'm not a doctor, and probably as you are not a doctor as well, I, nor you, can advise travel on what shots are needed for any country. What I can tell you is that you need to speak to your family doctor or travel clinic, and they will be able to advise you on the latest information of what shots are required for the country you are visiting. As a general rule of thumb, and again, these are simply suggestions, you should consider tetanus, hepatitis A and or B shots, and for certain countries, malaria or yellow fever may be required. What I can tell you for sure is that almost all countries require Globetrotters to be fully vaccinated against COVID. Now again, these are suggestions, as I cannot legally advise you or you legally advise your clients on medications, as I am not a doctor. My parents were so disappointed. Kidding. Don, thanks. Thanks, Dr. Don Goe Professor, who is actually not a doctor. Where to go in Morocco? There is so much to see and do in Morocco, and it all depends on interest, budget, and as always, time. But for the sake of time, following are the big sites and things worth considering when looking at visiting Morocco. Here is a quick list. Meknes, the 9th century Medina. Asila, sandy beaches and prolonged city walls. High Atlas mountain range, a paradise for trekkers. Mogador, for Game of Thrones lovers. Chefchaouen, the painted ambience of the Medina. The Sahara Desert, glance sunsets over June. Rabat, the stunning capital city. Casablanca, modernity yet cultured. Marrakesh, bustling city with a large Medina. Tingier, Morocco's crown jewel. Agadir, thriving seaside resort town. Fez, the old Maghreb city. Tangier, European-looking Moroccan city. Dadas Valley, panoramic sights. Atet Ben Haddou, ancient ruins. Rose Valley, fragrances all around. The main cities are Agadir, Casablanca, Fez, Marrakesh, and the capital of Rabat. Let's have a look at each one in a bit more detail. From Fez, you can stay overnight in the Sahara Desert. Here, you get to sleep in a tent among the sand dunes while enjoying activities such as riding a camel, horse riding, quad bike riding, sandboarding. You'll also have dinner under the stars and then retire to your Berber tent. In the morning, you can watch the sunrise over the desert. Beware, the desert can be very cold at night, so pack accordingly. Visit a Berber village in the Atlas Mountains. The Berbers are a people indigenous to North Africa west of the Nile Valley. They have a rich cultural history that dates back to prehistoric times over 4,000 years ago. Their influence affected commerce on trading routes between the sub-Saharan region to the northern Moroccan cities. Today, it is still possible to find many traditional Berber settlements in the mountains of Morocco. Although the Berber people do not live exclusively in rural settlements, these communities offer an interesting insight into the Berber tradition and history. A guided visit to a traditional Berber village on a trip to Morocco is a unique experience and highly recommended, with trips to Marrakesh being the best option. On arrival, you will see homes carved into the hillside with the backdrop of the majestic Atlas Mountains behind them. The Berber people are renowned for their hospitality, and you are invited into a small home and offered to share a glass of Moroccan mint tea. Afterwards, you can ask your host any questions about Berber life. This is a truly memorable experience and again, highly recommended. Volubilis Roman ruins. Volubilis is a partly excavated Berber and Roman city near the city of Meknes and commonly considered to be the ancient capital of the Kingdom of Mauritania. It was developed from the 3rd century BC as a Phoenician settlement. Under Roman rule from the 1st century AD, it expanded significantly with a number of major public buildings including a basilica, temple, and triumphal arch. It continued to be inhabited for another 700 years, but by the 11th century it was abandoned. Although only about half of Volubilis have been excavated, a number of major public buildings are visible. Many private buildings, including the mansions of the city's elite, have also been uncovered. They are noted for the mosaics that have been discovered in a number of buildings. It is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a must on any trip to Morocco to witness the exceptionally well-preserved examples of a large Roman colonial town on the fringes of what was the Roman Empire. To say farewell to Morocco, I borrow this from the Lonely Planet. From Saharan dunes to the peaks of the High Atlas, Morocco could have been made for globetrotters. Lyrical landscapes carpet this slice of North Africa like the richly coloured and patterned rugs you'll lust after in local cooperatives. The mountains, not just the famous High Atlas, but also the Rif and suntan ranges leading to the Saharan oasis, offer simple, breathtaking pleasures. Night skies glistening in the thin air and views over fluffy cloud banks from the Tizi Intes Pass. That is Morocco. And I'll also borrow this.
is looking at you, kid.
Until next time. It's now question time.